This is Pixelated Audio, episode 71, and we're hoping to get you guys into the holiday spirit with Daze Before Christmas.
Thanks for joining the show. I'm James, and this is Brian, and we are Pixelated Audio, a bi-weekly video game music and retro gaming podcast.
Yeah, today we're going to have a little bit of fun and hopefully get you guys into the holiday spirit. So by the title of this episode, you can probably guess this is a Christmas-themed show. It's a little special kind of bonus episode we wanted to throw in. Now that, the holidays are just right around the corner, and we just thought, what the hell, why not?
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on that day that the episode releases, it's just a couple days before Christmas. So we thought, this is perfect.
Yeah, and if you see this after Christmas, just skip it altogether. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, way back on our Halloween episode, which was episode 7, we talked about how there really isn't that many Christmas games. So we decided to rise to the occasion and find something that we were really excited to share.
Yeah, so when we started researching Christmas-themed stuff, a lot of games actually popped up that we weren't expecting.
Right.
Special Delivery, Santa's Christmas Chaos, and Frosty's Busy Night on the C64. And there was like a ton of different games that are kind of based around the holidays or Christmas.
Right. They didn't during that time period.
Right. They didn't really fit, like Home Alone, which, the movie to me reminds me of Christmas, but the game just, I don't know. It's more of like the game focused on like the story rather than everything around it.
Right.
And then stuff like Batman Returns, So.
Yeah. There was even some demos and expansions like Christmas Lemmings, Christmas Nights into Dreams, and Duke Nukem Nuclear Winter, but we weren't really happy with any of those until we found Daze Before Christmas on the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo.
Yes. I want to say, I was very excited.
Me too.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking, can we really do an episode on Christmas? This podcast, just to put it out there, is very agnostic, but me and you both celebrate Christmas, right. So we figured we'd usher something in. We just got to find a Hanukkah one for next year.
Yeah.
Anyways, that track that brought us in was titled Daze Before Christmas. It was the title theme, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta for the Mega Drive version of Daze Before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, we were so excited. I mean, this is a game where you get to play as Santa, and I had a lot of fun, trying it out, and I played through the whole thing at our Extra Life event. So it was, I just couldn't help but just keep playing it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a fun, funky little track. I mean, it's kind of silly, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, I mean, and this is straight up a Christmas music track. I mean, they didn't go too far out. They added like a little funkiness to it, a lot of bass,
a little jazzy swing to it.
Yeah, but this is like unmistakably a Christmas track. Yeah. So I thought, that would be really cool. This would be a cool way to start the show, get you guys pumped up, get those sleigh bells going.
Yeah.
And
if you're not already sick of Christmas music, you might have been listening to it all month. I don't know, but it was fun. It was a cool little melody. Nice little jazzy beat to it. Anyways, let's talk about this game a little bit.
So Daze Before Christmas was developed by Funcom Productions and published by Sunsoft in 1994, originally for the Mega Drive and released in Australia only. It was later ported to the Super Nintendo for Europe and Australia, and a North American version was planned but later canceled.
Yes, Funcom Productions, also known as Funcom Also, is a Norwegian video game developer located in Oslo, Norway. Kind of went backwards on that.
Yep.
They were founded in 1993, and even though a lot of us stateside might not know the company by name, they're considered one of Europe's leading independent developers and publishers. They made their first title in 1994. It was called Dinosaur's Tale for the Mega Drive and Genesis. Some of the other ones they worked on were Disney's Pocahontas and Nightmare Circus for the Genesis, Impact Racing, Casper, and Speed Freaks for the PlayStation, Sega Saturns, respectively. And they also did some ports for Fatal Fury Special and Samurai Showdown for the Mega CD, but now they're known for games like Age of Conan, Anarchy Online, and their newest game, Conan Exiles, scheduled for 2017 for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Yeah, and as far as Sunsoft, we've talked about them more than once on the show, so go back and check out those episodes if you want to know a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, it's no reason to reinvent the wheel. We already talked about them quite a lot already. I think there was the Sunsoft Batman episode was one, and then also Journey to Silius was more recent.
Yeah. So, but real quick, around the time of Daze Before Christmas, Sunsoft was involved in titles like Arrow the Acrobat 2, Elwood Odyssey 2, and Bubble and Squeak. But oddly, Daze Before Christmas was actually one of the last games that the US branch of Sunsoft published. And it's kind of funny how they published these games, but it never ended up coming out in the US.
Yeah, that's very odd. I mean, it was planned though, like you said, but maybe they were, at the end of the year and they're working with their budgets, and I don't know, maybe they couldn't justify it. And I honestly, maybe there just wasn't any interest here in the States for a game like that. Maybe they did a little focus group and they're like, hey, what do you think about playing as Santa Claus in this game? They're like, am I 5? No.
Yeah, or they could have looked at the sales from Australia and then the Europe and Australia versions of the game. So it would have been kind of neat, though. I think I would have liked it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into our next track. We already played one from the Mega Drive, so let's move over to the Super Nintendo version and play a track real quick. This is Santa's Workshop, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir. Tjelta. right, that was Santa's Workshop for Days Before Christmas on the Super Nintendo, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta. And man, if you aren't sick of Christmas music, I swear to God, that might be the last. No, that's not the last one.
Well, but this is so different. Like this is, I mean, you're playing, Jingle Bells, but I like it. Like, I'm not a big fan of Christmas music. I get tired of it super fast. Like literally, like the day after Thanksgiving, the first store I go into, I'm already tired of it. And I just this was really cool. I loved how it starts out. They got that cool xylophone that makes it feel a little bit different. And then when that kind of like saxophone comes in, which reminds me of like Tortimer from Animal Crossing, if you've played those games. But I just thought it was so cool. I like how it kind of goes off in its own direction and then comes back for a little bit.
Yeah, oddly, I really like Christmas music. I don't know what it is, but on the same note, I get sick of it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. Like it's fun to listen to. I don't know if I'd listen to it again. After this episode, I think I'm good. But it was still fun to listen to. It goes into two different parts. You got your dashing through the snow in the beginning there, and then it goes into this weird kind of jazzy. Mm-hmm. I like that. I thought that was really cool. And then it goes into the Jingle Bells, and then it goes back into that other section. But I thought it was clever use of trying to do something fun with this Christmas music that everybody already knows.
Right.
But went in their own direction with it. Made it a little bit more unique.
Yeah, kind of a nice way to stretch it out through an entire level so that this is playing and you're running around. You're not just like, oh my God, Jingle Bells is so obnoxious. And then your parents are like, oh my God, I'm tired of listening to this. And there's just this cool part that's very different and very kind of unique to this game.
Yeah. And I think when we first listened to the soundtrack together, we hadn't heard a lot of Christmas music yet, right?
Yeah.
So this was like back in early November. And so when we heard it, we hadn't outdone our Christmas vibe yet. So we were probably more excited. And then, listened to it later on. Now we're more into it, I think, for the just it grows on you.
Yeah.
But,
we found this game. Like, I hadn't listened to the soundtrack at all before I started playing it. And I popped it on at Extra Life and was just like, oh, please have good music. This would be really cool. I'm really excited digging the game. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I like the first level. I was like, oh my God, this is pretty neat. I think we could do this.
Yeah, well, we got some more really cool music ahead too. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the story a little bit. This Christmas story.
Yeah,
it's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, it's not the most unique story, but there's some quirky elements to it that make it pretty fun.
Yeah, I'd say there's some pretty unique parts to it being a Christmas game anyway.
Yeah. So the way the game starts out is it's the beginning of December and Santa's asleep. And then this evil plot is hatched out to steal his plans from his workshop and scare away all of his elves by the main villains of this game. But when Santa wakes up, he's really pissed and he's ready to kick some butt. I mean, he's tired of all this. And I'm not really quite sure if the enemies know that inside Santa is like this dark twin that can be brought out called Anti-Claus. So it's just waiting to be unleashed. So I guess Santa's just been like bottling this up and he's ready to go. Like, you don't mess with Santa Claus.
He hasn't seen his therapist in a while and
right.
He's just ready to explode on the next person.
Yeah, maybe with all the stress of Christmas coming up, he's just bottled up all that stress and became Anti-Claus. So,
I think I have an Anti-Brian inside of me.
Yeah, I think we all do. Yeah. We all have a little bit of an anti-self.
Especially when you're driving to go shopping or whatever.
Oh, man.
My Anti-Brian just unleashes.
So the way the game starts out is you set out as Santa Claus with Anti-Claus inside to save out all of your elves, this reindeer, and take back every last present that was unjustly stolen from all the innocent children of the world.
How sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty basic story with that exception of the Anti-Claus in there, but that really gives it a lot of flavor, I think.
Oh yeah, it's like one of my favorite parts of the whole game. Yeah. And the story was kind of hard to boil down because it's all written out in rhyme across 3 separate screens.
Yeah,
so.
No, I read the whole story out like just again last night to just double go through it, and I realized like, oh man, I'm on the last paragraph and I just now realized this is in rhyme. No wonder it didn't make any sense half the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually hard to write out the gist of all this and not have it rhyme. Like I was going back through it and I was like, wait a minute, that rhymes. Like I got to change those words here and change this here. And I wasn't like copying it. I was just like paraphrasing and I was like, this sounds stupid. It's like, it sounds like I'm like in like a sing song here. Like this is a Disney movie or something.
We should have just done the whole episode in rhyme, dude. Yeah. Just sing the whole thing in Christmas carols the whole way through.
I think that would have been the end of Pixelated Audio.
I agree with you there. Let's talk about the composer real quick. So Kim Morten Jenson, he is a Norwegian composer that started working at Funcom in 1993. And then from 1997, he moved over to another company called Interloop Studios until about 2003. But on the side, he founded his own company called Audio Plant in 2001. And they basically specialized in sound effects, sound production, and just video game music in general. Audio Plant lasted about 6 years, but then shut down in 2007. And then he moved over. I guess he just was like tired of the freelancing thing or his own company.
Yeah.
And he started working for a company called Toxic.
Yeah, which we saw like around like the mid 2000s. That's when a lot of like small companies and stuff were just getting chewed up and spit out.
Yeah. And to be fair, he might have had some really good work that he was getting done for, different agencies and stuff. But it was like, why not just join a bigger company and just have them tell you what to do and put it out? It's a little bit easier than trying to manage. Like,
a little more job security.
Yeah. But he did compose a few different things over his career. There was Fatal Fury Special for the Sega CD, which we had kind of just talked about.
Right.
Because I guess Funcom was hired to do that port of it. He also did A Dinosaur's Tale on the Genesis, Nightmare Circus on the Genesis, and Joint Strike Fighter for Windows. And then another game called Project I'm Going In for Windows. I'm not quite sure what that is.
I love that title.
Yeah. And then Time to Ride, Saddles and Stables.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, we should do that. Feature that game next.
Yeah.
And then there's Geir Tjelta, and he went by the alias Predator because he was actually an ex-Scene member. And he was also a Norwegian composer that was a member of groups like Maniacs of Noise, Oxyron, and Shape. And it looks like he started writing stuff on the C64 around 1989 for, these groups, like their demos and disc magazines and stuff like that. A few different titles he worked on that were, game specific were Needle in the Haystack, U96, and Eoroid. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, that was a hard spelling.
Yeah, all for the C64. But he was responsible originally for the audio for Pocahontas. But I guess it was kind of neat because I saw this interview that he did, and they said that Disney sent him out to go see a pre-screening at MGM of Pocahontas. He was like, "Oh man, this is so awesome!" He was getting ready to write the music for it, and then I guess he had to join the army. It was like a national duty in Norway to go join the army for a year or whatever, or 2 years. And then Jeroen Tel ended up taking over with another guy, and they ended up doing the audio for it. But he almost had his Pocahontas spotlight.
Well, and I think I read too that Jeroen Tel is like one of his favorite composers as well.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of neat to at least be succeeded by someone that you really respect.
Yeah. Oh, the other guy that did the soundtrack with Jeroen Tel was Laxity. We talked about him on Impulse Project, actually. He did some Game Boy demo scene stuff, which was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's get into our next track. I mean, these guys, they don't have like this massive list of stuff, but they've been in the industry for a while, and they know their stuff. They know programming and audio and just kind of, jacks of all trades.
Right. And it's a different kind of beast, taking something that's so well established like Christmas music and making something interesting out of it.
Yeah. Now, for this music on the Genesis, they actually use the GEMS driver, which we've talked about before. It's not really... It's kind of like a generic driver that usually we kind of steer away from.
Right.
But, every now and then there's some really good stuff on it. And it's really up to the composer to make the best use of it, make something interesting to listen to.
Right.
So let's get into our next track. This is called Out in the Snow. And this is for the Mega Drive version of Daze Before Christmas.
That was Out in the Snow, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta for Daze Before Christmas on the Mega Drive.
So this is a cool little track, man.
Yeah,
because
I liked it.
yeah, and this doesn't really, it sounds like a Christmas song. It like oddly sounds like a Christmas song. Maybe it's just bells that do it, because usually when you're making a Christmas game, because they do it so frequently. No, they, there's a lot of like that Christmas, jingle bells and that. And I thought, when we first heard the soundtrack, I thought that's what we were going to hear the entire time. I thought it was going to be remixes of old songs kind of rearranged for maybe like a jazzier version or something. But no, they really took the extra mile. They went the extra step and took this different approach to it. Made it like a jazzy song that has like Christmas elements kind of thrown in. It does have that holiday vibe to it. It's really cool track.
Yeah, and while they don't make a ton of Christmas specific games, there are a lot of games that have like snow or ice levels, which kind of end up having a little Christmassy feel. So I could see this track fitting into one of those very well. But I liked how it had that very mall or elevator music feel to it, which really laid back and jazzy.
It's that electric organ, man.
Yeah, and it just was fun and bouncy, and I really liked it.
Yeah, no, it's a cool track, man. This game, though, it's interesting. I think it's designed for kids, but we had a lot of fun playing. I mean, no, it's very much designed for kids, but we had a lot of fun playing it. So Daze Before Christmas, it's a 2D side-scrolling platformer for most of the levels, and it's got these side-scrolling flying levels kind of peppered in. You get to play as Santa in a total of 24 different levels that are laid out over an advent calendar. You know what an advent calendar is?
Yeah. I do. I don't know if everyone else does, though.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. But advent calendar, I had them growing up. It's basically this calendar that each day you open up this little window and you get to take out a chocolate and eat it for the day. It's usually really, really tiny, like smaller than a Hershey Kiss.
Yeah.
And, the ones I had anyway, because I got it from my Dutch grandpa. So it was kind of like, we got these little tiny, like Tic Tac sized chocolates.
Yeah, but it's not really about so much the chocolate. It's like the countdown to Christmas, I guess, and it's like a little prize for remembering to open the next door or something.
Yeah, and my parents were really strict about like sweets and stuff too, so we didn't get a lot of sweets growing up. So for me, just that little tiny chocolate was like so nice.
Yeah,
it was so cool. It was so fun to get. But yeah, I thought that was a cool little touch that they threw in. They peppered a lot of like Christmas holiday elements into the game that they didn't really necessarily have to do, but it does make it a little more special, a little more fun.
Right. Yeah. When I saw that, how the levels were laid out, I was like, wow, that's a really nice touch. But the goal of each level is to set the elves free, and which are trapped in presents. And then the cool thing is you get to take enemies and turn them into presents, but you have to remember to collect them. So once they turn into a present, they kind of sit there, or if say like they land on a conveyor belt, they can get away from you. So you still have to collect it, and you get to use them later.
I think we're gonna go back and listen to this episode, and we're gonna be like, do we even hear what we were talking about? It's so funny. So we mentioned earlier, Santa, he's got this alter ego, Anti-Claus, and when you run across a cup of hot coffee, it transforms you into this demon. And it's kind of funny because his outfit changes color from like red to blue. He's got this devil mask on with like horns. It kind of ends up looking like a cute Mr. Karate from the SNK games. But Anti-Claus plays a little different too. So the coffee kind of works like Super Mario, like when you get a star, the invincibility.
Right.
Enemies can't hurt you. And then the way that you attack enemies and you kind of interact is a little bit changed up as well. So in this mode, he can't free elves or turn enemies into presents, but he smacks them with his sack.
Yeah, his Christmas sack.
His Christmas sack. But I guess you don't need to save every elf anyway that's trapped. You just have to beat the level. So it's kind of like a side thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of funny to play as him. He just like swings this massive sack around.
Yeah,
he looks all pissed off.
Yeah, he looks all angry, and it's super odd, but I really like that. That was what made this game different, because I was just laughing my head off when I saw this cup of coffee. I thought, oh, this is gonna be like health or something, and then he just goes nuts and he transforms, and I just really like that a lot. But
wait, was it coffee or was it hot cocoa?
No, I think I was confused. I thought it could have been either, but I think when I was looking it up, they mentioned that it's coffee.
Yeah,
so
maybe he's just so used to cocoa that he's like has coffee and he's just like, what is this?
Yeah, coffee is the more evil form of hot chocolate.
Anyways, there's also a sound test.
Yeah,
which is kind of neat.
Yeah, we love seeing that in games. I mean, in the options menu, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do, but it was really neat to see that you can go through all the different music and listen, and it'll just continuously loop and play forever if you want.
In the options menu, there was also that option to change your timer for how long you can be anti-claws.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, maybe you're having a little bit more trouble and you stay anti-claws so you can't get hit for longer.
Maybe like kids mode or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could change the difficulty. You could turn the sound effects off and on, the music off and on. But I thought that was kind of neat that they had that baked in there to where if you don't want to stay anti-claws for very long or you want it for the maximum amount of time.
Yeah, because you really can't collect everything when you're in that mode anyway. So
yeah.
Makes sense. Anyways, so anti-claws. He's actually got a pretty sweet little theme song.
Yeah, gets his own music.
Yeah, you want to check it out?
Yeah.
All right, this is the I'm Anti-Claus track from the Mega Drive version for Daze Before Christmas. All right, that was I'm Anti-Claus for Daze Before Christmas on the Mega Drive.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was like a darker Jingle Bells.
Yeah, like an anti-bells.
Yeah, an anti-Jingle Bells.
No, this is cool, man. That bass is pretty fat.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that's
that.
what gives it that darker feel. There's some subtle little like clapping sounds that are kind of nice. And once again, it was a nice rendition, but I liked how it was very different.
Yeah, it has to match the character, you know. They're trying to create this kind of pseudo Claus, this mean version of him, and so having something that's a little familiar but also a little darker maybe fits the theme a little bit better.
Yeah.
So like we were saying before that last track, you don't have to free all the elves or, you know, get them all in presents and all that stuff to beat the levels, but you do need to collect all the presents that you can for the flying stages, because in these levels you play as Santa riding his sleigh flying over the homes in Europe, Japan, and the US to kind of deliver presents.
Yeah, and these levels are kind of funny. There's region-specific obstacles. Like in the US ones, there's like footballs everywhere. Like it's nighttime and there's footballs flying all over the sky and you're trying to, you know, avoid them and still drop your presents. So I guess the Norwegians really understand Americans' love of football.
Yeah, except me and you just don't care for it so much.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, as you're flying around avoiding these objects, you see chimneys with smoke coming out, and that's your cue to drop presents as you fly by them. So what the game does, and it's pretty clever, is throughout the platforming levels, it keeps track of all the enemies that you collect as presents, and that serves as your ammo for dropping them into the chimney. So, so let's say like you're playing through the level and you decide to only collect 2 enemies. That's all the presents you can drop, and you can miss chimneys. So you're effectively scoring more points.
Yeah, so all those little kids, you know, in Europe don't get their presents.
Yeah, so it's kind of like your incentive to seek out other enemies, have lots of ammo so that you can miss. But once you kind of get down the trajectory of everything, it's pretty easy to hit them.
Yeah, you know, I got to say, like, these levels were interesting. They were unique. It was kind of cool to change stuff up. They were kind of basic, though.
Yeah.
It almost looked like a really bad like NES game, like that just wasn't done very well. But again, this game has a really cool platforming element to it, beautiful graphics, and having this little kind of switcheroo on you every now and then. It's not bad.
Yeah, because we said there's 24 levels. That's a lot of levels. So there was a nice, I mean, like you're saying, like it does look kind of bad. Like Santa's really zoomed out. He's really, really small, the reindeer. So there's not a lot of pixels to deal with.
Yeah,
but,
well, there's no animations either. He just looks like he's moving like on a, just like on a flat surface.
Yeah, he's like a still sprite.
Yeah, but the game does have a pretty good variety of toys as enemies. Like there's
there's like ice skates or roller skates and like
right.
snowmen and like toy trumpets and stuff, which kind of reminded me a little bit of like Restar.
Right. And there's also like squirrels.
Yeah, there were like just weird little animals running around, but they were all like kind of getting in your way. Cactus, you had to watch out for cacti. You could take damage. It was pretty neat.
There are some things in here that don't really have a Christmas theme to them to me. Like you ride on a flying carpet in one level.
I don't.
Yeah, there is a flying carpet.
Yeah.
It's like the third level or something.
Yeah, there's like weird factories and stuff too, where you're like you're riding on like floating hearts and stuff, it was really odd, but it was a very weird game.
Yeah, and there's some boss battles too. So there's 4 bosses that spread out over those 24 levels. And you can see them all on the title screen, which is kind of interesting because they're all kind of standing there. There is an evil giant snowman, a giant evil rat, and a giant evil clock. See, there's a theme going on.
Yeah.
And there's also an evil Mrs. Claus. No, I'm just kidding. And then the final boss, Mr. Weather, who happens to be a giant evil storm cloud. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder, which I guess makes sense. Santa's enemy is bad weather,
Yeah, I mean, it's going to keep you from delivering all these toys to the kids. Or, I mean, I guess I never realized how dangerous Santa's job was. I mean, just flying around at night.
Oh,
you have weather to deal with. It's snowing in most areas. So, but I mean, I didn't have too much trouble with any of these bosses. Did you?
No, dude. This game's meant for kids, dude. You shouldn't have any problems with it, man.
Yeah, I thought that the giant evil rat was probably the hardest. He's got like this big club that you kind of have trouble jumping over, but he wasn't difficult by any means. And I thought that the last boss was probably like the easiest one. When I was playing, I was like, wait a minute, is that it? Like that took like 5 seconds.
Well, it couldn't have been that hard because I think when you beat this game, it was like 4 a.m. We'd already like been 20 hours into our extra life thing.
Yeah.
So your brain was already probably just way out there, and you managed to get through this with like no problems at all. So.
Yeah, it was like the last bit of brain power I had left. And I think after that, I just ended up switching to like Echo Junior. I was like, I need it to be easier yet so I can continue playing.
Get simpler and simpler.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. So we got some more music. Let's play Bad Character. This is from the Mega Drive version of Daze Before Christmas. Was that Jingle Bells again, dude?
Yeah.
I think our listeners have already shut off the episode. That was Bad Character, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta for the Mega Drive version of Daze Before Christmas. That's all right.
It was a very different version of Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
I thought it had a little Vector Man feel to it with like the heavy kind of like really kind of splatty bass sounds. And then it had like that kind of dancey club kind of sound that Vector Man does.
Yeah. It was all right. I'm kind of partial. Kind of either way.
I actually like this one quite a bit.
Really? Well,
yeah.
I think I like this one. Maybe. Well, no, I think I like that first one better. But this was cool. This is all right. Let's talk about the graphics a little bit because this game is beautiful.
Oh yeah, when I turned this game on, I was really blown away. Mm-hmm. There's really clear sprites, really good colors. The animations are amazing. Like there's this part. And I think it's in Santa's workshop where there's like these candy canes and you can slide down them just like fireman poles. Mm-hmm. And instead of just sliding straight down, he like spirals around it. And I was like, wow, that's so cool to program or like to do the the artwork to where he's like rotating around this candy cane. I really liked it, and I actually would just slide up and down the poles all the time.
Yeah, there's some other really cool animations, like when Santa ducks, he like ducks into his Santa hat.
Oh yeah, and he's like kind of like becomes like a crab or like a hermit crab or something. He's like peeking out of it. You can see his eyes.
Yeah, and then also just the animations, like him jumping and moving around, and he shoots out. What does he shoot? It's like snow?
Yeah, it kind of looks like
happiness.
Yeah, I just kept thinking of like pocket sand and like from like King of the Hill, but yeah, it was like blue, and then later on you get like fire. It's all boss specific or enemy specific, but it was really, really pretty neat. And they had these cool illustrations in between levels of like Santa doing different things, like there was one where he's like hiding behind like cave walls and like in like a stalactites and stuff, and there's like a shadow of a creepy snowman, and flying to see Mr. Weather and stuff like that. And I was really surprised. I was like, wow.
I was really impressed by the graphics. I was like, I couldn't believe it. On some of the illustrations they did were incredible. In fact, I think we got to do that anti-claus as the main artwork for this. I think that would be so cool.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. Like, because in the game, right after the title screen, you have to select between 1-player, 2-player, or options. Yeah. And at first I thought it was like an evil elf or something. Like I thought this was the bad guy, but then later on I realized this is Anti-Claus with his horns, and he's got these big fingers, and he's just like, which one do you want?
Which one do you like? All Ultimate Warrior.
Pick quickly.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, it's a beautiful looking game. It looks a little bit better on the Super NES in certain spots, but sometimes the Genesis version actually, I think, outshines the Super Nintendo version. But either way you play it, it's a lot of fun. It's a kind of an easy game, but it is enjoyable for a platformer, and I think that the graphics really enhance that Christmas kind of vibe. If it wouldn't have looked as clean as this, it definitely wouldn't have been worth the play. It's a pretty game.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next track.
Yeah, next up we have Holiday Destroyers from the Super Nintendo.
All right, so that was Holiday Destroyers, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta for the Super Nintendo version of Daze Before Christmas. And I know what you're gonna say.
It's another Jingle Bells track, but there's so little Jingle Bells in it, and once again, it has another different feel, another different spin to this track.
Right. This is actually, I think, just the ported version of that last track, a Bad Character.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
It has some similar aspects, but switching from the Genesis to the Super Nintendo, obviously the Super Nintendo can't do what the Genesis does, and vice versa. So I was neat. I thought this one had a little bit more Mission Impossible sound to it.
Right. Okay.
Less club like, a little more urgent, like you're doing something dangerous. But I liked it. I liked this one quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, that was all right. I mean, we've heard Jingle Bells how many times now?
I don't know, like six times or so.
Yeah. Please tell me we don't have any more Jingle Bells tracks next. Anyways, so obvious. I mean, this was meant to be a Christmas thing. I think it was meant for kids. It was meant to just have something fun for the holidays. Mm-hmm. It's not really meant to be serious. This episode, please don't take this episode seriously.
Yeah.
We're just trying to have fun.
And if this is your first episode, this is not really the best idea of what we have to store on this show,
Right.
But it's turning out to be fun. I mean, just like this game was fun. The graphics were good. The gameplay was really solid. The music was surprising. I didn't expect much out of it. And so I thought it was really cool hearing all these different renditions of Jingle Bells,
right.
Basically. But, whenever I find a game that I kind of like, I want to check it out to see what it's going for. And I was completely blown away by what this game is going for. I mean, I saw box copies for the Mega Drive going for like $750 on eBay.
Ouch.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo complete box were, just a little bit less at like $600. But I mean, I was seeing loose, like mangled cartridges for like $40 or $50. So it just shows how rare this game was. It didn't come out in all regions. It didn't come out very much in those regions it did come out for. So it was kind of neat to see that, like, there's other people do see a little bit of value to this game, but we can just play it through emulation. So
and the thing is I think we've talked about this before in the show. When you're making a Christmas game, you're really targeting a very specific crowd and a specific time during the year. It's when you make a movie for Christmas, you're getting everybody in there, and you really care about that 1 week, the first those first week in the box office. But after that, it's like, whatever, we'll just sell the DVD for the, forever.
And people can save it, watch it when they want. Like A Christmas Story plays like for an entire month, like nonstop, but you don't ever see it on TV ever again until Christmas again.
But see, it has the beauty, videos have the beauty of aging and staying preserved over time, where games, the Genesis had a lifespan. So after you'd play it, maybe you did play it like every Christmas for 3 or 4 years. But, by then, that's like, 1998? There's a ton of stuff already out.
Right.
By then, people have moved on. Generations have changed. So the chance of this being like forever, your go-to Christmas title is unlikely. So, I can see that. We do have one more track. It's our last track. Before we wrap up here, this is called Cool Floors. This is actually kind of a cool track.
Yeah.
This is for the Mega Drive version of Daze Before Christmas.
That was Cool Floors, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta for the Mega Drive.
This is an awesome track. I like this one.
Yeah, this might be one of my favorites, actually.
It's my favorite so far because, I'm so sick of Jingle Bells, I don't even want to hear it anymore. But no, this was a cool track. I mean, it's got that really Stray Cat strut in the beginning there, and then it kind of goes off into its own thing. But it's really groovy, really just mellow, and then it's got that super twinkly awesomeness at the end there.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the whole track is the ending. But I thought it was cool. It's kind of splatty, takes its own time, has some attitude, and I thought maybe this is like what Santa puts on to get Mrs. Claus in the mood. Maybe he does a little burlesque coming in. I got home from delivering all these presents.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised by this one. This was a great departure from actual Christmas music and something kind of fun and original.
Yeah. All right, so I think that about wraps up the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the music. Hope you didn't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
But you had some fun and got to hear something that you probably haven't heard of. And I had fun going through it. It was a lot of fun.
Maybe this will be your go-to Christmas episode.
So today we covered Daze Before Christmas on the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, composed by Kim Morton Jenson and Geir Tjelta.
Make sure to check us out at our website, pixelatedaudio.com, for show notes, track lists, custom episode artwork, and links to cool stuff like VGM rips. Our social media, like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Pixelated Audio. And if you want to give Brian and I a follow on Twitter, Brian's at Doki Doki Panic, and I'm at Man Over Mars.
Yes, and I want to remind you guys to listen to the Impulse Project, the side project that I do with Ed, and we just released a Christmas demo scene episode, and trust me, there's some really good music.
Oh, there's always excellent music on that show.
Well, see, the difference is that, there's a lot of like demo scene Christmas compos and stuff like that, where these guys are writing stuff specifically for Christmas, like Christmas tunes, whereas games don't really have that luxury.
Well, you got to put a lot of effort into making a full game.
Right. And so I think that's why there's a little bit more freedom. So there's a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really cool music. So definitely check that out. That'll be episode 22, I believe.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyways, if you guys like this show, and maybe not this specific episode, if you like the show and you want to give us a review on iTunes, you can leave some stars if you feel it's worthy, and let us know what you think. Also want to give a shout out to Matt Daly. Gave us an awesome review.
Yeah.
Like made our week. It was so awesome. So thank you very much for that. And we also have a bunch of past episodes you can go through if, you're in the holiday mood, but you don't want to listen to holiday tunes.
Right. So if you're new to the podcast, first, thanks for checking us out. But we have, a pretty large list of episodes now. I mean, this is episode 71. So there's some past episodes like our episode 60 on Herzog Zwei. We have episode 38 on Restar, which we mentioned earlier, which is a really cool one. And I'm going to dig really deep with Vector Man, which is episode 6, which we also mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Man, we've done a lot of Mega Drive.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to do more. And now we have Days Before Christmas under our belt. So it's gonna haunt us, I think. Anyways, the track taking out the show is titled Unknown Track 2, and this is from Days Before Christmas on the Mega Drive. And I think they probably composed the music and didn't know what to do with it. They're like, oh, we got 24 days already filled out with all the music we need.
Right.
Where are we going to put this? So they just kind of stashed away in the code somewhere. So this is Unknown Track 2, but it's actually really rad. I think you guys are going to dig it.
Yeah. So this has been Pixelated Audio, wishing you a happy and safe holiday.
Yes. And see you guys in 2017 for our next episode.